Hello guys, welcome back to another live training. We did a live training last week and you guys really liked it. What was the format for the Q&A? For the last, I would say, a couple of years, the format was for the live is basically me coming up with the topic and start talking about the topic. Let's say, well, generally in this channel we talk about dispatching, we talk about trucking, we talk about in business. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kamal. And well, last for 2 years, as I said, we were just like doing a Q&A. So I just come up with the questions, and then, well, questions and obviously title for the video, meaning for the live training. And this is how we did for the last couple of years. So then I came up with this new format. Basically, the format is we basically shaping the Q&A. So how that goes. So basically you're asking questions, right? So whatever the questions you might have about dispatching, about trucking, about business, about marketing, about sales. So what I would do then, I'll just take 3 to 4 questions and I start writing those questions and then start answering. So for example, if you post a question, I'll mention your name, and then obviously I'll just pull up that question you have, and then we start talking about dispatching, trucking, and as I said, whatever the questions you might have. So in order to begin the live session, I really want just a 3 to 4 questions to begin with. So you don't want me to just sit and talk about whatever the topic might be. Let's say marketing, how to get carriers, or carriers, how to get direct shippers, for example, and start talking about this. Abbas says, hey, Kamal. Hey, Abbas, how you doing? So we'll start with the 3 questions, whatever the questions you might have again, but I'll help you. So if you really wanted to ask questions and get the real, let's say, if you really wanted to get into dispatching, if you really want to go into trucking, for example, you want to buy your trucks. I think last week we had people thinking about going into cargo van, I think. Then we also I wanted to go into a box truck, for example. But since this channel is about dispatching, mainly what I see is about like 3 categories. So one category will be like, where do I start? That's if it's like interested in dispatching, if you're interested in trucking, or interested in running or starting your business, then this is where the first question falls into. For example, like, where do I start, for example, as far as trucking goes? So I want to start my trucking company, but I don't know where to start. Like, what would be the first step, for example? So that would be the question, right? Then second category will be how to use a load board. Like, think about just a load board. There are a bunch of questions we might ask about load board. Like, what about the username, for example? What about like user interface? What about like private network? This is something new. Like, not many people know about this, but then we can talk about. So how to use a load board, that's one way to go. How to access the load board, because I think it's challenging right now. Most people can access load boards, right? They require MC, they require DOT. So I contacted with DAT, and then they said this. I contacted with Truck Stop, and they said this. So we can go like, you just ask, right? So we can go in many ways. That's the second category. Then the third category will be how to get carriers. I think this is huge. So most of you, maybe you guys are interested in how to get carriers, obviously. Then in this category, we can talk about like getting your first carrier, for example, or if I get my carriers, then what will happen? Let's talk about the onboarding. There are a bunch of questions you guys might ask. I just need 3 questions. I will just write those down, and then while you get in your questions, and we'll just get the ball rolling and start talking. So Well, let's start with Abbas first. And he says he wanted to know how to retain a potential carrier for a long term. Wow, such a great question, Abbas. Yeah, that's awesome. One of my videos, I'll take this question. I would say first one will be carrier retention, right? So carrier retention, it's huge. Carrier retention. Okay, that's comes from Abbas. Carrier retention. Think about carrier retention will be like what would be the tactics, what would be the strategies. So we can talk about this. So then there is, let me see, the question is, will you save this live? Well, I don't know. I'll do my best, but this is a live training. I'm not gonna promise though, but let's see what happens. um Let me take this question. This will be a second question. Which one is better overall, truck stop or DAT? Oh wow, comparison. We can do comparison. I used both. Like I use DAT right now, but then I used to use a truck stop. So many people ask questions about like should I have two, or if I just wanted to pick one, which one, and like what's the reason for example, like picking DAT or truck stop, something like that. So truck stop, let's say, versus DAT. Let's say that. So I need just one more question. So if I get one more question, we'll start rolling, and then you just keep those questions coming, and then I'll take and we'll go from there. So truck stop, let's say, versus DAT, and which one? So truck stop, by the way, guys, I don't know, like I'm not gonna go into details, meaning which subscription to pick. I used them back in, I don't know, I think back in 2015, 2016. Like then I switched to DAT and never looked back. So I use DAT, but then we'll also talk about different subscription levels. I did live yesterday on TikTok, and then a lot of people ask questions about what is this, like what type of subscription you're using, or what's the app you're using. There are a bunch of people like asking about this. So then one more question. So any questions you might have as far as marketing, sales, dispatching, trucking, brokerage, shippers, anything like that, just one more question and we'll start talking about whatever the questions you have. So first one from Abbas, we have let me see, the carrier retention. And then the second question will be like, which one is it? Is it the truck stop or a DAT? So, and again, you guys liked the format, right? So what the format is basically you guys asking questions. I'm just taking questions and answering your questions, right? So instead of me just talking, hey, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that, but then we did last week and you guys liked it, and we decided to just keep going with this format. So another good question actually. Fuck you. Is this fuck you? Fuck you. Is that how to pronounce your name? How to access DAT? What is it? Now who are outside the US except, what is it? Except MC. Meaning how to access DAT if you're outside the US and you don't have an MC. Is that what you're saying? Let me see. Let me come back to this. Abbas says my second one is that I experience that if we dispatcher call a broker, they give us lower rate per mile, RPM. And when a driver or owner operator directly call broker, then they give them a good rate per mile. Oh wow. So what would be the then question, Abbas? Let's talk about this. So you're saying like your second question is that so you have an experience that if a dispatcher calls a broker, they give, let's say, lower rate per mile. Okay? So let's say if we pick a load from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas, and if you as a dispatcher and you call them, they give, let's say, $2 per mile. But if owner operator or a driver calls the broker, then you say, based on your experience, then you say they give $2.50. Let's just, throwing some numbers out there just to, illustrate this point. I never heard about this, to be honest with you, but then we'll talk about this. But what would be the question for this one? This is more of a statement. Hey, let's say I had an experience with one of the brokers maybe. So I called as a dispatcher, they said this, and then carrier called and they said that. But I was kind of confused in why. Maybe that's the question, and we can take that. Alex says, how can I get a carrier for a long term? I think Abbas had this question, I think, already asked. He said, I want to know how to retain potential carrier for a long term. Maybe this one where Abbas says, I have the carrier, but then I want to keep this carrier for a long term. But then Alex says, how can I get a carrier, but then when I'm getting that carrier, but I want to keep for a long term, right? So there's a slight difference, I think. Why I say slight difference? Here in Abbas' question is that it says, I want to retain. Like how to retain. That means he already have the carrier. Maybe he needs to do something to retain. But then in Alex's question is that, man, I really want to start off with the best tactics, best, I would say, or excellent first expression as a dispatcher, so that when I onboarding him, he will stick with me for a long run. So I think that's the difference between these two questions. So Alex, why don't I take then your question? So let's see, get a carrier for a long term. Okay. How to get a carrier for a long term. Alex, also, if you can just, comment and say, when you say long term, what do you really mean? What do you really mean? For example, let's say keeping a carrier as a dispatcher, average is, as far as months go, let's say average is 6 months, right? So then would long term would be, let's say, up to a year or year and a half, maybe 2 years, or as long as I want to stay with me. Give me a date, because for a long term, it's I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. Based on that, I'll do my best to answer your question. So no, I want a new one. Yes. So you getting a new carrier, right? But then Abba says that he wants to keep the carrier because he already have one, let's say, or has one. I'm thinking that Abbas has the carrier already, but he wants to retain him. Maybe he wants to leave, and he's like, "Hey, I want to keep this. What can I do?" But in your case, you want to get the carrier. You don't have one. So let me take. Have you had any experience with Select This app? Well, unfortunately, I don't. Or are there any TMS system? Let's talk about this. I think this one I can put, fourth, maybe a question, maybe what would be the CRM, for example. If you are you a carrier? So I don't know. When you ask a TMS, it sounds like you are a carrier. So dispatchers, guys, we don't need TMS, right? We don't need TMS, but what we really need is a CRM, right? So if you're really established dispatcher, that's a totally different story. But then let's talk about this, and we say tool/CRM, okay? And we can talk about this. If you have specific question about CRM, then let me know. Also, as I mentioned, Select This, I heard them. This is Load Board, I think, meaning I heard of them, but then I never tried them. I think the load board is specifically for box truck or sprinter vans, I think, not for semis. That's what I know. I also know that they're expensive. That's what I heard from my students. Let's see. Um, let me see. You exactly get my second question, like 2 p.m. or 2 per mile or 2.5 per mile. Okay, I'll get to that question, Abbas. Yeah, absolutely. That was a great question. Let me see. Alex says like he should work with me for 5 to 6 months. Okay, cool. That's well, that's an average. That's what I know. And again, based on my experience as well, when I was dispatching owner operators, that's the average month that the 6 months, right? That's the average when you as a dispatcher working with carriers. So let's see. They are just for box trucks. Okay, I see. Okay. And another one, let me see. Is select is good for work? Work meaning? So I think I got 4 questions. Guys, when you're posting a question, be specific so I can take that question in and I'll do my best to answer the question. So let's start with the Abbas question, number 1. And again, guys, you asking me and I'm delivering. So that's the game. That's the format. And again, instead of me talking, you asking, I'm delivering. So if we're good, then we'll get started. Oh, there you go. Awesome. So let me see. Okay, Shahzad says, okay, let me take this one. I think Shahzad's question also a good one. How much money should we pay for using DAT per month? Okay, the cost for the DAT. Okay, cost for the DAT. Okay, per month, and which paid, meaning subscription. Do I recommend? Okay, which subscription? I have a recommendation for you. This is an awesome question. Subscription. Okay, with subscription, and then what was it? Recommend for a dispatcher to find carriers and brokers. Do you recommend for new dispatcher to find carriers and brokers? So load board is, just wanted to clarify just a little bit, Shahzad. The load board is for finding loads, booking loads, dispatching loads. So you can also find carriers and brokers inside, but then I have a recommendation for you. So, guys, there are 4 questions. Number 1 question is by Abbas. There you go. This one is the number 1. I said carrier retention will be the first one, will be carrier retention, right? Then second, we'll be talking about truck stop versus DAT. Then third one, we'll be talking about how to get a carrier for a long term. That was Alex's questions, I believe. And then the fourth question will be tool like CRM or TMS, but then I'll talk specifically CRM. So if that, I think that will be an awesome. So then the fifth one will be the cost for the DAT. How much should we pay? Excuse me. And then what would be the subscription level? Which subscription level, right? So those are the questions. And I do see questions coming. Just let them come in. I'll take at the end. Let's begin with the Abbas question. So the number 1 question is the retain potential carrier for a long term. Imagine like I was a carrier. Let's say I was in the flatbed market. I owned 4 trucks, and somehow we met online and we scheduled a call on a Zoom. We talked, and you said, hey, based on whatever the problems you have, and I can dispatch. So we agreed. You sent me the dispatcher carrier agreement. I signed it and sent it back to you. Now, everything begins if you wanted to retain a carrier. I don't want to just say that you need to deliver the best service you can, although is really, really important, but there's some ins and outs of this. What is that? Well, actually, everything begins, like, that's the first step. How do you guys met? When do you guys met? That means, like, do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a TikTok account? Like, how did you called me? Like, was it the cold calling? Everything, yes, everything it matters. And if you say, like, Kamal, how do you know? I train well over 20,000 people, meaning dispatchers and carriers as well. So, and at the same time, like, I was a carrier. So basically, I'm looking at it from different perspectives. So I was a dispatcher, I was a carrier. So I'm kind of, switching perspectives to give you the best response so you can prepare. Everything boils down to an onboarding. Yes, everything boils down to an onboarding. The way you onboard me as a new carrier, that basically dictates how long I'm willing to stay with you. If your onboarding, including your calls, the way you send me the documents, like giving me the access to your CRM, or the companies that you work with, like factoring companies, whatever, like, if I see that professionalism, and it tells me that it feels like this is the right person, or this is the right company, and I want to work with them no matter what. So that's the day one, right? So the onboarding is very, very important. Second, what do you know about my business? Well, it happens before the onboarding, because I haven't said yes to your services as a carrier. It basically, I must make sure, double, triple make sure that you understood my business. You know what I want. It's not, guys, I talked to many, many dispatchers. When I was a carrier, the guys were pitching. And when I was dispatching, like, owner operators, I had about 25 owner operators back then, not anymore. But I was looking for independent freight dispatchers, and I wanted to hire them. And then obviously we, like, 2-3 calls per day, and we're talking to them. 99% dispatchers talking about their business, meaning, well, we're awesome, we do this, we do that, we have this, we can, just like a lot of promises. It feels like too good to be true, let's say, right? It sounds like it's very sketchy, be honest with you. Maybe this guy is a legit and wants us to deliver. But then I had very, very couple of calls I can still remember until these days. Those are the calls really goes into, like, they are asking a lot of questions. They're asking about, like, how many trucks I have, why I started my business in the first place, where I live, like my dreams. If I said, well, they ask, I remember, like, guy asked me about, so you have 4 trucks, then, like, what would be the, like, fleet size in, let's say, in 2-3 years, for example? Well, I never thought about that. Well, I have 4 trucks and I have 25 owner operators. I'm looking for a dispatcher who can help me on this side as a dispatching side, but this is my carrier side of the business. But then it really, hit me. It's like, oh wow, like, I never thought about, like, I'm looking for a dispatcher, but then I never thought about, like, hey, I have 4 trucks. Maybe in about 2 to 3 years, I wanted to grow into like 20, 25 trucks. And I said, listen, if that's what you're asking, then I want to grow into like 40 trucks. Oh, wow. Okay. So then we need to come up with a plan. And that call went about, like, I thought it would be like 30-minute call, maybe 15, 20 minutes call, or 30-minute call. That went like more than 2 hours. Asked me a lot of questions. Why is that? I hope this makes sense and it's helpful. If I talk too much, please stop me. So I really want to deliver. This is like total honesty, 100% honesty, total transparency. So it really, and again, remember till this day, why? Because still I feel that person understood my business, understood my pain points. I have this problem, I have that problem. And he's like, okay, cool. Let me take notes. Okay, so we have also driver problems. Driver problems, yes, always, right? Then do you have like an ad copy? How to like run some Facebook ads to get them? Like, what? Facebook ads to get carriers? Drivers? Never thought about this. Craigslist, just post some ads here, there. Oh, okay. So do you have like ad copy so that we can just run split test, double what? And see, when you hear those things, it feels like, wow, this person can deliver. That's number one. That's how you retain your carriers. It's very starts from the beginning, right? Remember I said how you guys met, where did you guys met? It's just when the I think what I'm trying to say is the customer journey. When I was like, you were a stranger to me, now you are one of my business partners, let's say. And it's like, what was this customer journey? Have you sat down and just draw this, like, okay, this guy will see my post here, and then he will go there, and then he will go that way, this way, and then we'll have a call, and then I will ask a bunch of questions, and then I will send them a the carrier agreement, dispatcher carrier agreement, and I'll start dispatching. So start from the beginning, right? As a lead, then becomes a carrier. Onboarding process is very, very important. Then onboarding process, and after that, the third ingredient will be you actually delivering. How you're going to deliver your best service is actually it's up to you, and you know your business better than I do. So here is the hint, though. So when I say deliver, don't overpromise. I had a lot of dispatchers, over promising, saying, hey, we will do this, X, Y, and Z, 4 miles, 5 miles per rate per mile. Wow, really? 4 miles, like $4 per mile, meaning RPM? How? Like, you don't know my cost per mile? Like, how you were over promising? That was like a no for me, right? So remember, and again, it comes back to this onboarding. I really want to know your business first. I want to know, like, you have 4 trucks? Yes, I have 4 trucks. Okay. Talk to me like number one, the truck number one. Is it paid off? No. Okay, so you paid. Okay, how much? This much. What about your trailer? Yeah, it's still, I'm paying. Okay, how much? This. What about your insurance? This. What about fixed cost, variable cost? Then divides by 10,000. That's the average miles per month. And then what will happen is that then now you get cost per mile. Once you get cost per mile, now you know how to look for load on a load board. So that's how you retain, right? So there's no magic word. If you do this, if you say this, then you retain your carriers. No, it's actually like the onboarding is first, obviously, right? And then the second is how you deliver. So number one question, the retain. Is this cool? You guys like it? Is it cool? Should we continue this? Is it too much? Should we keep short? Concise? Concerns? Questions? We're good? Very helpful, Abba says. Great. Awesome. So then the second question was about the truck stop versus DAT. There you go. So let's talk, and then we'll also have, this is the second question. Third question is how to get a carrier long term. I think, Alex, whatever I said, like the response for the Abbas, I think is still related to your question, I think. So if not, just let me know. But I think you guys had this almost the same question, but then if you just need a little bit of a more clarification, we can definitely do that. So let's see. Then that will be the third question. Fourth question is talking about the CRM, the tool, right? The tools. And then number 5, the question is cost for a DAT in which subscription. Let me take that question. There you go. It's here. And let's talk about this. As I said, when I was a carrier I used back in 2015, 2016 maybe. Can't remember exactly. Then one of my friends, he told me that, well, he gets a lot of lows, right? So I just fall into this. But oh wow, you use DAT and then you get a lot of lows. Okay, let me just sign up and see what happens. I signed up for a DAT and then that's it. I never looked back, and then I canceled truck stop. So I don't know as far as, but I know there's something very important that I want to share with you, that difference between. Um, but then I don't know, you can go to truckstop.com and you can see and you can compare the subscription levels. So the main difference, that's what you guys need to know. I don't know the load count. I don't know. Maybe Truckstop has, I don't know, a million per month loads. Maybe I'm just throwing numbers. Maybe DAT has million and a half or 2 millions or something like that, or 500, 700,000 loads per month or something like that. I don't know exactly that comparison in that detail. But the very, very important difference is that truck stop, huge businesses, they have, what we have is the ideal client, right? That's very, very important in marketing. And it's also, if you're a carrier, you really need to know your ideal client that you want to work with, meaning the shipper, right? So what would be the ideal client for you? Then a broker has the ideal client, and dispatcher has ideal client. Dispatcher ideal client could be, it's not carriers. That's very broad. Flatbed, owning 4, 5, 6 trucks, located in the southeast area, drives this, revenue is this, blah, 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 right? So it's very, very, very important. The same thing. Truck stop ideal client is carriers. Bear with me, because the thing that I'm about to say, maybe it's kind of confusing, but then DAT focuses on specifically, it's just like based on my research, obviously, focuses on the owner operators. Kamal, if there's an owner operator, this guy owns truck and trailer and he has active MC and DOT, he's a carrier. Well, yes, but he's just like owner operator, meaning he owns his trucks and trailer and he drives. But then carrier, on the other hand, owns, let's say, average number of trucks in the United States per carrier, small business. That's what I mean. It's about 7 trucks. Then truck stop focuses on carriers, meaning people like me. Let's say I own 4 trucks. So truck stop, targeting these people. But then DAT focuses on just like one person. Like, hey, if you're an owner operator, we have an awesome load board for you. That's the difference, right? That's the main difference behind like the marketing, let's say. So since the truck stop is more targeting carriers with, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5, or averaging 7 trucks, they're building a lot of tools that related to specifically for carriers, right? Well, at the same time, obviously, for those of you like, hey, load boards are built for brokers. Well, that's true. Since we're talking about like carriers and dispatchers, obviously carriers also have access, right? So it's basically there is a platform. Carriers come in, and then brokers come in, and then carriers come in, and then they meet, and then they post load these guys taking that load. That's understandable. Now, since they're targeting carriers with like multiple trucks, they build tools related to the carriers. Since DAT targeting only owner operators, right? They're mainly focused towards brokers, right? But then obviously they're targeting the owner operator. Now, as far as load counts, I don't know. Maybe they have similar like load posts per month. But if you say, hey, come on, like which one? But I tested both, and I just loved the DAT. I don't know why. Maybe user interface, maybe it's fast, maybe it's an X, Y, and Z, but I don't know. And it's just like, if you love somebody, just ask them, say, why you love me? Like there is no explanation for this. I don't know. So if you guys know the like main difference, like, well, people using like truck stop and they're making good living out of that. People, using the DAT and then they love it. I don't know. Just I think personal preference. Some people use both, but to me, it's like I use DAT. And there's a small reason for this. If you ask me, like, come on, like, okay, tell me why. Well, I think since I also teach how to become, teach people how to become independent freight dispatchers, DAT more of a like give it or take. I understand more dispatcher friendly than truck stop. Truck stop, it's not dispatcher friendly. That's, I think, the main difference. That's what it is. So I hope that answers your question. You guys like it? We're good? So we covered the carrier retention. Now we covered the putting a check mark. Okay. Now we're moving on to the third question. Alex, what do you say? Should we just talk about? I think that the question you had, how like keeping the carrier for a long run. I think the carrier retention answered your question already. If not, let me know. Then let's talk about the CRM. So we had a question about a CRM. Let me pull that. We had somewhere over here. Okay, I think it was something like about TMS. Is that right? Potential carrier, DAT truck stop. Also, accessing the DAT. I think this was one of your question, how to access DAT outside. So let's talk about the TMS. I think maybe you. Oh, there you go. There you go. Awesome. So that was your question. Select this. We talked about this. I never used select this, but then TMS. TMS, for those of you who don't know, it's like transportation management system. That's how I remember it. That's, some people say differently. I don't know. But that's what it is. Transportation management system. So if you are, to me, it's like if you have 40, 50, 60, 100, maybe more trucks, and you want to manage your, trucking company, or if you're a broker, or maybe you have a broker's division, then you might consider like TMS. Like I never use TMS, but then I use CRM. So CRM, customer retention, is it customer retention management? So this is also a software. So correct me if I'm wrong. There is one if you are a dispatcher, specifically for dispatchers. Well, no, let me take back. Well, actually, this is from OTR Solutions. There is a CRM. I don't know the name for that CRM, but then you must be, signed up with OTR as a dispatcher or as a carrier so that you can get access to the CRM. The CRM is basically helps you, like your day-to-day operation is all inside. I'm not going to go into details. Maybe we can have another live Q&A so that I can do live demo maybe, but that's what it is. CRM by OTR Solutions. So if you're a dispatcher, then you need to contact with the OTR Solutions, and they will give you a application. Then you send them an application, and then it will give you the access. So we interviewed in our inside our paid group the OTR solution, and we had a live demo. Maybe I can post that video on YouTube so that you can guys see it. So not recommended if you are a dispatcher. The TMS, if you are a carrier or a small carrier, one-man show, TMS is not, recommended, but then CRM is highly, highly recommended. So hope that helps. That's the question number 4. Jay, Alex, I'm still waiting on, okay, so maybe you've gone already. So I'll just raise this question. Let's talk about the cost for a DAT. So the cost for DAT, it all depends on the subscription level. So the subscription level I think the basic subscription we have, I think it's $49, $45. we need to like look at online, I think it's $49 or $45. That's the basic. That's for carriers. Then I don't know the most expensive. I think the 200 something dollars for, it used to call Office something. They changed the names. But then the one that I have, I love that tool. It called DAT1 Select. DAT1 Select. And the cost for this subscription is $180 per month. So that's what it is. Let me see. Hope that helps. If you guys have questions, please let me know. And I think we had this question. I think this was Shahzad's question. We covered it. Okay. So let me take this question. And let's go now, since we started this, conversation with like 5 questions. And again, you guys rolling your questions, and let me do my best to, answer these questions. How much new independent dispatcher can make per month with 1 or 2 truck? Explain with the box truck and big trucks as well. Reefer, flatbed. Okay, so you want to know how much independent freight dispatchers can make? Excuse me. I'll give you some numbers, although inside the paid membership that we have, I shared like into details. I made a video. I'll skip the box truck since it's not my game, but we can talk about reefer. We can talk about flatbed, and let's talk about van since we're not talking about the box truck. So let's keep these 3, and we'll talk about. I'll give you like 1 truck, then you can obviously think about how much I will be making if I have 2, 3, 10, whatever. So an independent dispatcher, there is a truck dispatcher, independent dispatcher. The reason why I want to say the difference quickly, because it dictates how much they make. So independent dispatcher is the person who owns his own business. That a lot of people will say, oh, you don't need LLC in order to dispatch. That's wrong. No. You need your LLC if you're an independent freight dispatcher. If you're a truck dispatcher, you don't need LLC. And I assume that you guys know what I'm talking about as far as truck dispatcher, right? Independent freight dispatcher, think about business opportunity. And truck dispatcher is an employment opportunity. So now you guessed it, right? So there is a huge difference. So independent freight dispatcher, let's say drive-in, low season and peak season, meaning good season and bad season. In bad season, driver can make from 15,000, let's say 15,000, bad, up to, let's say 25,000. Let's keep numbers simple. And those are, by the way, average numbers for a drive-in in the bad market. And let's talk about the reefer and the flatbed. I will say flatbed / reefer because they make almost same. So bad season, good season, flatbed / reefer market, bad season, they make about 25K to 35K, bad season. 25K. In a good season, they make, let's say, 35. So what I'm trying to say is that's basically a good season, bad season, good season. From 25 to 35, right? That's where it fluctuates. An average number is about, let's say, 30,000 gross revenue, by the way. It's not a net profit. So then if you're an independent freight dispatcher, and if you charge, let's say, average is about what I see, it's 7%, how much they charge, that's what I see. Low can go up to 3% if you're in overseas. Or I would say if you're in the United States, that's the top of the line, maybe you can say 10%. But there's different models that people can charge different, price for the services, that's totally different story. But what I want to say is that there are some dispatchers, charging 20%. Yes, but it's a different story that we can talk about. And if you're like, what, 20%? Well, yeah, they do. They have a different business model. Let's say we'll have a time, and then we'll talk about the business model. So let's say the average number is about 7%. Now, since independent freight dispatcher makes off of the gross net revenue. Now the numbers, like for drive-in is the low season in 15, in a good season maybe 25, 30K, like give it or take like 25. So let's make, for the simplicity purposes, let's take 10% to make the math easy. Basically, you're charging 10%. Bad season, you're making 1,500. Good season, you're making about $3,000 per truck, let's say, for a drive-in. Then for the reefer / flatbed step deck, all three, bad season, you're making about, and again, 10% from the gross revenue, 25 to 35, something like that. Think about bad season, you're making about 2,500, and a good season, you're making about like 35, $4,000 per truck. It really depends like how you move those trucks. So those are the numbers. That's for one truck, and then you can multiply. Some people will have, if you have more trucks, then they charge less. Numbers can fluctuate, obviously. So this will give you just like rough numbers to play with. Okay, this is how much dispatcher can make in these markets. Hope that helps. Let me take this question. Manish says, hi Kamal, hi. I want to start independent dispatching from India. Please guide regarding LLC. Which load board to purchase? Which dialer? I think the phone service you're looking for is the best for overseas use. Best VPN and best banking partner. So you're looking like a best of the best, right? Cool. So let's keep it simple because you have a lot of questions. So regarding your LLC, well, you need to talk to a small business attorney, but then based on the experience that I have with my students overseas, what you're looking for is a registered agent in the United States, and they will help you. Northwest registered agents, one of them. They're Inc. filer, I think. Then LegalZoom, there are a lot of. But then when it comes to like legal structure, talk to a professional. That's number one. I'm just like, this is for educational purposes only. Like, I'm not gonna go into details because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. So, which load board? When you're starting out, obviously you just keep it simple, with the basics. But if you're like, hey, best of the best, then I think the best load board out there is DAT One Select. Dialer, and again, you're looking for best to use. Air Call is the best option for you guys because it has click to call option. Okay, hope that helps. And then VPN, I don't use VPN, I don't know. I can't help you with that. Banking partner, this is a challenge for me, even with my students. Banking, I have list of banks, but I can't remember top of my head. There is a list that I give to my students, but then, and again, this is a challenge for non-US. If you're outside the US, that it's almost impossible to get like bank account because you need to be present at the branch signing those documents. So hope that helps, and don't forget to deliver the best of the best services to your carriers. Let's take this question. Can you talk about the carrier reinstate? Just reinstated from 2021. When signing up, brokers say the 90 days of activation. After 9 days, will the MC reflect? I don't know. Be honest with you, like I never reinstated my MC. I just had an MC, run it for a couple of years, and then I just it became just inactive. So I don't know. I can't take on this one. So because I never experienced this, I don't want to just give you just the information that you're looking for. I just never reinstated. Maybe you can just do a little bit of online research in what would be the process. I don't know, but obviously brokers. I think brokers they see, like, if you have active, inactive for how long, are you restated, what happened, those kind of things. So let's see. I'm a logistics officer looking for a good dispatcher for our company. Okay. You're terrified of a scams and getting double broker loads or getting new dispatcher who doesn't know anything. Okay. So I don't know, since I never experienced as far as scammers like dispatchers scamming. I don't want to call them dispatchers, be honest with you. So dispatcher would never, if he's a really, uh, good dispatcher, if he knows what he's doing, he never, he'd never call you with the load saying, "Hey, like, I have a load for you." Well, you have to be a broker to, talk about loads that you have. So yeah, maybe. Well, that's the challenge. The double brokerage. I mean, double brokering is a huge. So let's see. Let me take this one. I have a question. As the people are saying, the Meta AI will come in this business and will change the system. So, what do you think? What problem will AI create? Okay, does it will take over the dispatcher's job? It may be, but I don't. I'm not sure about the Meta AI. Be honest with you, like what the other, like what Mark Zuckerberg thinks about this. But AI is huge. I realize that. Me, instead of, like, since I'm optimist, like, I don't want to think about how, if I'm a dispatcher, how am I going to lose because of the AI. Instead of thinking that way, I should think about how I can use AI in my business so I can improve my productivity and come up with tools that carriers will love, or make it easy, my job, so to speak. If I I can't. I think it's very early to see. To me, it's like to see that. Oh wow, it's coming. Think about driverless, you know, trucks that we've been hearing about for the last I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, or I don't know. Well, a couple of years, that's for sure, and everybody will, specifically drivers, were talking about this driverless trucks out there. But then we realized that, yeah, it can operate, but then it also needs an operator to operate that truck. So that's what I think. I'm not gonna go into details because, to be honest with you, is AI. I'm like leveraging AI right now in my business. That's for sure, right? ChatGPT is huge, but will it replace dispatchers' job? Maybe, but then dispatchers will be using AI to dispatch, so to speak, right? It kind of goes both ways. Abbas is very helpful. Thank you. Absolutely, you're welcome. Let me take this about a calls. I get the least 8 calls and 10 emails each day from a dispatcher, and they all promise the world, and I hang up and delete immediately. Okay. So you get last 8 calls. That means you are a carrier. Maybe, I don't know, you're a carrier. Maybe you have a website, people knocking your doors, or you're sharing your emails. Maybe you have a social media group. I don't know. That's basically my predictions. Yeah, I got a lot of, when I was a carrier, there were a lot of calls and emails, meaning cold calling. Got hundreds emails. But yeah, it's a problem then. But hey, there are some people teaching, like people like me, teaching people how to become independent freight dispatchers. Yesterday I said, at the beginning of this Q&A, I did it live on TikTok, And then, my students showed up. I just, endorsed them saying, hey, carriers were looking for, and they trusted me. They're looking for dispatchers, and then they DM me and say, hey, Kamal, we're looking for dispatchers. Can you, recommend? I recommend one of my dispatchers, then the other with dispatcher, and this dispatcher, that dispatcher, because I know that these dispatchers can deliver, and then whatever the carriers need help, then I just connect those dispatchers to a carrier. So it's kind of win-win situation. So appreciate your work, absolutely. Let me take this one. I use both truck stop and DAT power. Oh wow, okay. I can tell you that DAT will soon stop allowing independent dispatch to sign up with them. They did already. How they did? Well, it's not allowing soon, but I think it happened about a year ago. I was working she's gone already. She's not working anymore with the DAT. But when I was working with her, she said, "Come on, we stopped because I was promoting DAT, and a lot of people were signing up because of me." Well, that's gone obviously because she's gone, and so she said that they're no more allowing dispatchers to self sign up. Now, what they have right now is solely focused on like brokers mainly, I would say, and then carriers. If you have an active MC number, you can sign up. But for the dispatchers, it's still you can sign up as a dispatcher. But the deal is you must have an LLC, and second, you must have a carrier. You're basically signing up as a carrier, so to speak. Right? So there's like a little bit of a confusion, but then yeah, they already stopped. Do you have online courses? Nurikbek says, yes, I'm glad you asked. I do. I do have, this is the, let me go real quick and share screen with you. Let me see. And I'll show you. Share the screen. I'll go to here and I'll show it to you. I hope you guys seeing this. So this is, there you go. You can copy this, and there will be a link below this video. So this is the up-level dispatching community. We have about like 55 members. So it's not a course; it's just like a membership. We have a classroom, and everything is here. Like this is what we teach based on. This is our framework that we developed over the years. Dispatch Alchemy framework. This is the course, and this is basically everything you need. And on top of that, I give carriers. That's what I do. I teach how to get carriers, but at the same time, I give carriers. As I said, I promote my students to give them carriers. That's basically it. If you like it, you can check it out. It's what is the? Let me share what is it here? There you go. That is the school.com/dispatch trucks. So you can go there, you can check it out yourself. So let me see. There was a question about the purchase DAT on inactive MC. Can we purchase DAT on an inactive MC? I think when you provide your your DOT or MC number must be active. I think they run some kind of a background check, I think. So if you have inactive MC, that might be the challenge. But then even with an active MC number, people really have challenges signing up for load boards nowadays. It's kind of crazy to think about this, but how far we came. But then yeah, inactive MC, I don't think so. I don't think it will work. So let me take this one. If you have some recommendation, that would be wonderful. As far as dispatchers for your company, is that what you're saying? I don't know your name, but then what you can do is you can, you can email me, info@dispatchtrucks.com, info@dispatchtrucks.com. You can email me, and then I'll obviously connect with my students. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I'm gonna take this. Shahzad says, can we build our businesses inside our country without going US, or do we need someone who lives in the US? No, you need registered agent. It's basically whatever the business you're building, meaning independent freight dispatching business, it belongs to states. So it's an American company. You can run pretty much, anywhere, but then the company belongs to, think about it that way. And I said this because, yes, I can travel the world. I can live whenever I want, whatever I want. But then my company actually belongs to the U.S. So basically, U.S. owns that asset. You want to run it, you want to make money, you can do that. But then obviously, the main reason for that is because we need to pay taxes. That's what it is. So you can pretty much run anywhere, but then you need a registered agent. So cool. So your name is Joe. Cool, Joe. You can email me, and then I'll connect with dispatchers. Do you guys have any more questions? Are we good as far as DAT, carrier side of the business, dispatching, learning, training, anything like that? We cool? So again, if you wanted to check out, guys, this is the link. It's a membership. It's my up-level dispatching program. Is we used to sell for about $5,000. So it's there. It's a small monthly fee. You can cancel anytime you want. You can stay with us for 1 month if you wanted to. You can cancel anytime you want. It's basically, as you can see, hassle-free. So, guys, thank you so much. I think this was an awesome Q&A. You guys liked it, and we also will be doing more of these type of Q&As. Next week we'll come back and we'll take it from there. Thank you.